This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello everyone and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host Mike Parkin and joining me this week are Richard Hawes.
Hello everyone.
Stephen Lockridge.
Hello.
And Amanda Robertson.
Hi.
This week we've got 6 films to go through. We're going to kick off with Beast of War. Then we've got London Calling starring Josh Duhamel. Delivery Run is after that, and then Red Plague and The Severed Son. And we're going to wind off with Helloween. Our short shot is Carly Boone's Night Shift, and then our DTV throwback is Downtime. So, without further ado, let's crack on. Our first film then is Beast of War. A group of young soldiers fresh out of boot camp find themselves stranded on a raft in the middle of the ocean after their ship is sunk by the enemy and must battle for their lives against a giant, hungry, great white shark. Shark movies, Amanda, are 2 a dozen, basically. But every now and then you get a damn good one. And I think we've landed a damn good one in this. I was really impressed with this. The fact that it doesn't start on the ocean, the fact that we get 20 minutes of boot camp beforehand, and the sort of bonding between 2 of the soldiers, Leo, who's from his Aborigine descent, and his friend Will, and one of the other guys who's sort of more of an antagonist, a bit of a racist arsehole. And we get to sort of see them a lot before what happens on the ocean. And then, I thought they did a really, really good job with the shark, and that sort of attrition that you get in these sort of films. I thought was really good. What are your thoughts on Beast of War?
I liked it. It's good fun. I thought the setting was really good, just having them on this little raft but surrounded by fog.
Yeah.
It creates a really good atmosphere, and obviously it's a good way to cover up any set limitations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The gore was quite good too. I liked the look of the shark. It did sort of pop up, kind of weird. Have you seen the footage of the Jaws ride at Universal Studios?
Yeah.
It's sort of like that. That's the only thing I didn't like about it. But overall, I think this is fun. You're right, you do get a good shark one every now and again. And we haven't had a really, really good one in a while.
It's good in that, the shark attacks themselves are quite quick, like it'll suddenly grab hold of something. Like there was one character who they'd wrapped up in canvas because he was bleeding, and a bit of the canvas was just hanging over the edge of the raft, and suddenly he's gone. It's just ripped off the. I thought that sort of thing was really, really good. The whole thing. There's sort of the dynamic between the different relationships as well. And the shark as well. We've seen some with some very dodgy CGI.
Yeah, this one was all right.
I thought they went sort of more practical than not. Obviously some shots have to be CGI. But I thought it was very solid, and you get invested in the characters. You're wondering what's going to happen. I was wondering a little bit because as the shark attacks are reasonably brief and spread out, so you got to have other things going on to sort of keep the momentum going. So 3/4 of the way in the film, suddenly a new character turns up on another raft, sort of thing. But all of that sort of it does sort of work. So I was really impressed. This is I don't know if you've ever seen a film called Wormwood.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Yeah, there's 2
that.
of them. Yeah. So a guy called Keir Roach Turner. He made the Wormwood films with his brother, I believe, but this one's just him. I interviewed the guys way back when, when because they spent something like a year making the first Wormwood,
Mhm.
and or something ridiculous, every weekend sort of working on it. Obviously now they've got money behind them
Mhm.
to pull something like this off. I just thought it was great. Yeah,
Yeah, I had a great time.
yeah.
I think I read somewhere they've got another like creature feature in the
Hmm,
works. I'm
hopefully.
sure I read that. Yeah. Well, I'd
It,
quite like to see them just tackle something else because this was good.
yeah. Oh, they did Sting.
Oh, that's maybe what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was them. 'Cause I'd seen their previous one, Necrotronic, as well. That was quite fun. But it's interesting to see their sort of progression. They're working with bigger and bigger budgets, and all the time. So yeah, it's really really good. Um, really impressed. And it's I said on a previous episode, every time I see sort of New South Wales in the name of the production companies, you know, it,
Yeah.
I get a good feeling going into a
Yeah.
film. It always seemed to be a decent sort of quality sort of picture. So yeah, I was very impressed with this. How are you going to score it?
I'd probably give it a 7. I had
Hmm.
a really good time with it, and it does look really great despite its limitations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it draws you in with the characters in that first
Mhm.
bit in the jungle, then puts them through the ringer on the raft. So it's great stuff. Yeah, 2 sevens for Beast of War. Go check it out. After fleeing the UK from a job gone wrong, a down on his luck hitman is forced to babysit the son of his new crime boss and show him how to become a man. So, um, every now and again we come across films which seem to be written just so we can spend time with the characters, um,
Mm.
rather than actually telling a story as such. And this is kind of one of those. Whoever wrote this is so in love with his characters. He's just kind of hoping that, or he's kind of expecting that we just want to hang out with them without actually sort of learning much at all. It is one of those sort of shaggy dog stories where there's just lots and lots of talking.
Mm.
Now, luckily, this is one of those few occasions where I do want to spend time with these characters. Um, so Josh Duhamel, I don't know if you're familiar with the guy.
Transformers.
Transformers,
Yeah,
yeah.
Transformers. I
Yeah.
think
But
everybody knows him from
every knows
Transformers.
Transformers, but before that, he was in a TV show. I think only lasted a series called Las Vegas, where he was the sort of security guy for this casino hotel in Vegas, and James Caan played the owner,
Yeah.
and it was a pretty decent series, but I think it only lasted one season, so that's where sort of know him from. But but yeah, Transformers. He was the submarine guy, wasn't he? And he's pretty good in here. He's sort of he's a washed up hitman. He needs glasses, but he's too proud and too stubborn to wear any. So he's shit at shooting people. He makes a huge mistake on a hit where he mistakes somebody wearing a horse mask. No, somebody wearing a donkey mask for somebody wearing a horse mask. For God's sake. So he ends up killing his boss's wife's cousin and has to leave London and go to LA. And his new boss is played by the guy with the teeth from Suits. If you know, if you know who I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. So
Is it Rick Hoffman? Is that the one?
I think so. Yeah, he's always the antagonist in Suits, but he's the
Yeah.
one with the teeth.
Yeah.
And his son, he's got a teenage son called Julian, who's like really into live action role playing. Um, but his dad hates the fact that he does this, and he wants him to be a man. God damn it! So when Josh Hamill's character Tommy wants to go back to London because his ex-wife's getting married, and he wants to sort of try and stop it and all this sort of stuff. And he goes, "All right, fine, but you got to take my son on a hit first, and he's got to do the killing and all this sort of stuff." So it's one of those sort of bonding stories for a good chunk of the film, and then it sort of goes off the rails with these two Irish guys that they're supposed to kill. But luckily, it is actually fun, and it actually works. It shouldn't work, but it does. Is the way it comes across. Is quite amusing. So overall, I did actually enjoy it. But at the same time, I was sort of looking at it going, I shouldn't be liking this. There's plenty of films that we've seen like this, which don't work. But there you go. But yeah, I did like it. One of the other things which is annoying is the sort of music cues. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the X-Files.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every now and again, they do a funny episode. They do.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack, they always have like an oboe.
Mm-hmm.
So every or a double bass or something. So every time it's like they start playing this music to be a dum 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 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Getting in there, and that's kind of what this soundtrack's like. It's like trying to force you into thinking it's funny because of the dum 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 kind of music. So yeah, just knowing that just rubs me up the wrong way a little bit as well. But never mind. Anyway, so yeah, overall, this gets a 6 out of 10 for me. So yeah, it's better than I expected, definitely. And on that basis, people should go check it out. Our next film is Delivery Run. A food delivery driver gets caught in a deadly chase in the icy Minnesota wilderness, pursued by a crazed snowplow driver for unknown reasons, and facing life-threatening situations and forced to outsmart his relentless pursuer alone. Amanda, have you ever come across a more annoying protagonist?
No. Yeah.
He's useless.
He's just, yeah. You kind of just don't really care what's happening to him. It's like, well, you got yourself into this.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
This is your fault.
We've had films like this before, haven't we, Steve? His name is Momo or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Where, this couple go and mess around with a ancient Greek catacombs or something. It's like, well, you get exactly what's coming to you, and that's kind of what's
around and find out, isn't it?
It is exactly that. And this guy has literally dug himself into a hole, and he keeps digging. Basically, he owes the local mobs like $7,000 or something. He's only got half the money. He keeps blaming the delivery app that he's got for not giving him orders and all this sort of stuff. Then he gets into this tussle with the snowplow guy, which is just totally innocuous, but it sort of like gets blown out of proportions. You just feel like everything that happens is his fault.
Yeah, it's like a weird kind of silly riff on like Duel or that one Joyride, but again,
yeah, exactly.
Like, well, you went there, so you kind of getting what's coming to you. I'm really glad that Reggie was okay, though. I don't think Reggie deserved.
Reggie the goldfish.
He didn't deserve all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of being transported around in a plastic bag at one point, isn't he? There's a couple of interesting bits, like when he finds the lodge and he finds a woman sort of chained up in there, that sort of thing, which reminded me of another film with David Tennant called The Good Samaritan, or no, Bad Samaritan it was called, I think. Where two guys break into his flat and find a woman caged up. That was a really good one as well. This one, it's difficult to sympathize with anything that's happening, and the ending is just so what's the word I'm looking for?
Kind of, yeah,
He's rewarded for no reason.
yeah.
It's
It's also kind of a letdown
yeah.
how he gets rid of the guy. Like this guy's got a snowplow, and then that's how he dies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was very, very annoying. Um, I mean, it reminding me a little bit of another film as well. There's a film we covered, I can't remember what it's called now, about a woman driving to see her sick mother in Canada. And she's been chased by a sort of 18-wheeler. And I thought at one point it was going to end the same way,
Hmm.
but it didn't. It did actually come up with a slightly different ending. But yeah, it's a hard one. This one, yeah, the guy just deserves everything that happens with him, and he certainly does not deserve what happens at the end.
Yeah.
But there you go. Okay, how are you going to score it?
I'd probably give it a 5. I think the snuff with the snowplow looks really
Hmm.
good, actually. It's well executed. But apart from that, yeah, it wasn't for me.
I'll give you that. It's like, yeah, they do a good job of actually making the snowplow itself look quite menacing.
Yeah.
It's got all these sort of jagged edges and sort of icicles hanging off it and all this sort of stuff. And we never meet the actual guy driving it, which is very Duel-like, as you said. So yeah, I can't really sort of see giving it more than a 5
Yeah.
myself. So there you have it, 2 5s for Delivery Run. Go check it out. Next up is Red Plague. Following the sudden and traumatic loss of his family in the early days of a virulent plague, Carter retreats into the desert, hiding away from what remains of the world. But when a lost girl arrives at his door seeking help, he must confront old wounds and find a way to finally heal or bleed out. Okay, so this is pretty well made.
Yeah, it's very nice looking.
It does look nice. It doesn't add anything to what we've seen before, really.
Yeah.
There was there was a few bits in this where the the landscape is sort of very desolate. There's lots of sort of burnt out cars and old shacks and this sort of stuff. And at one point, I think he passes like a crashed airplane. Um, and I'm sort of looking at him going, I bet they didn't have to dress the set too much. you
Yeah,
know?
that was a bit more interesting than what was actually going on. So I wanted
Yeah.
to see that actually
Hmm.
instead of this. I don't think the characters were that interesting.
No.
Honestly, it felt too close to The Last of Us. Because isn't that
Yeah,
just the same story?
it's that sort of thing. I'm sure
Yeah, or a
we've
similar
covered
story.
across we've come across others like there's a touch of the road and that that sort of
Mhm.
thing in there as well. It's sometimes I do wonder if these filmmakers have actually watched any films.
Yeah.
If they think this is great, this is so unique, my unique vision to tell everyone, and then we watch it and go, but we've seen this, in some form or other already.
Hmm.
There's a couple of nice bits I will say, like when when they turn up to a house where his an old friend of his in inverted commas lives, and what happens there. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That was, but again, it's within the sort of realms of what we've seen before. But there you go.
Yeah. And there wasn't really enough zombie stuff.
Hmm.
There was
Hmm.
bits here and there. I get that most zombie films they want to be like, oh, the humans are the worst part.
Hmm.
But a little bit more zombie stuff would probably livened it up a bit.
It reminded me of there's a really horrible film with Chris Pine called The Carriers or Carriers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh God, I hated that film. It was just, you know, horrific. And it was the horrifying bits were what they were doing to each other. you know, and the sort of heartlessness of it. But it's that sort of thing where they sort of break into somebody's house and there'll be dead bodies and that sort of thing, you know, or messages on the wall. And you know, you get that sort of thing early on as well when he's sort of sneaking around sort of various places, and it is, you know, trying to keep away from the zombies as much as possible. But yeah, it's all there. We, you know, if anyone watching this is going to get a bit of a sense of deja vu, basically. You know, bit of happiness at the end, nice. Yeah, other than that, yeah, okay. How are you going to score it?
I think I'd probably give this one a 5. It's nice looking, but it meandered a little bit too much. It just took too long to pick up. And then by the time it picked up, it was the end.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 2 5s again for Red Plague. If you like your post-apocalyptic zombie films and, you know, you're a bit of a completer finisher, go check it out. Our next film is The Severed Son. Magpie lives in an isolated church community ruled over by her father, the pastor. When a man is murdered, paranoia sets in and people start to whisper about a strange beast that lives in the forest. Okay, so this is low budget. Getting around that. But it is interesting. It is an interesting film. So we have this murder. And it's no secret to say that it's Magpie that killed her husband, basically, at the start of the film, because he's a complete bastard. So I think she poisons him and then stabs him and then chops him up in quite gruesome fashion, as you do, you know. But somehow kind of gets away with it for a bit, although people start, you know, thinking that she must have done it because she, you know, came out of the house covered in blood and stuff. But there is this sort of creature living in the forest as well. This sort of almost, you know, kind of like a predator kind of thing, but with big glowing eyes, and you only see it in silhouette, but with the glowing eyes in the forest. And you know, people sort of keep telling old wives' tales and all this sort of stuff going on. And it's basically this community just sort of self-imploding. What's interesting with it is you've no real idea when the film's set. It's almost like an Amish community, you know, but it could be any sort of time. You know, there's no sort of like electronic devices or anything like that. You don't see any cars or anything. But there's no real clue as to when it's actually happening. There's some very nice visual effects going on. There's sort of shots of the forest where you see, you know, sort of tree branches intertwining with each other, and then the longer you stare at it, you realize you're actually looking at the beast in the background and things like this. It's almost like one of those, what do they call them? The seeing eye pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like that, you know. It's really, really clever. I actually had to rewind it a couple of times and watch it again, to sort of see the effect. And go, yeah, it's really, really cool. It sort of gets a bit lost at the end, I think, when things just get really, really messy. It all just sort of piles in on itself. But overall, I thought this was pretty strong. And yeah, it's pretty compelling stuff overall. On that note, I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. And I think you should all go check it out. There was it was a film set in Ireland a while ago starring Carice Van Houten. Our next film is Helloween. During 2016's killer clown craze, Dr. Marks and journalist Parker trace the source to jailed serial killer Kane, recruiting followers for an anarchist movement. When Kane escapes, they race to stop his murderous Halloween scheme. So, mixing numerous sources, this one, you know, there's a bit of Silence of the Lambs, there's all sorts.
Halloween.
You know, a bit of Halloween, bit of you know, The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
You know, all of that. Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
The Dark Knight, I'd probably say.
Yeah, Dark Knight. Sorry, no, that's what I meant. Yeah, all of that. However, this is from Shogun Productions, Jonathan Soscott's production company, and I was glad to see him sort of step away from the sort of gangster genre and try something a bit different. So yeah, I thought for the most part this actually was pretty good, and it's probably one of Michael Paré's best roles for a while as well. I thought he was actually quite decent. So yeah, that was pretty good. What do you make of it, Steve?
It's all right. I mean, like you say, it rips off so many different films and genres that it just mashes them all together, basically. I thought the main guy was a bit over the top at times.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I must admit, I was impressed with Michael Paré in it, because I've only seen a few of his films, and he's not, it's been more like action orientated and stuff like that. But in this, he's actually pretty decent. It's not a big showy part. It's just nice and chilled, and I think he's actually decent in it. Not just throwing quips and one-liners and stuff like that. But overall, it's all right. I mean, I kind of got the twist. I don't know why, but I sussed the twist out about halfway through.
It's it's one of those where I mean, I guess the twist probably about a minute before it happened. Most of it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a little. To be honest, I thought it was a little bit dark as well. I know it's kind of like set in like this asylum or whatever, but like a lot of the beginning kills, you don't really see anything. You just see it, someone moving their arm up and down, and that's about it. I mean, I presume budgetary constraints, but apart from that, it's for a slasher. I thought it went to some decent, interesting places, but overall, I think it's just a bit of a mishmash of everything else that they've ripped off from all over the place. Really,
I'd say paid homage.
I think my biggest complaint with this one, guys, is the lighting. And the scenes set in the asylum. If you take a second and think about it, no self-respecting asylum or hospital or anything is going to have lighting as bad as that. Doesn't matter what bloody floor you're on. Those things are going to be starkly lit.
You could say that about all. Like whenever there's like a control room or something in a movie, like sitting in the dark, and you're like, "Come on!" It would be like the most brightly lit room in the whole place. But
exactly. So obviously, when when the power goes out and everything, that's fine. But I think a little bit more realism beforehand would have been good. But other than that, I'll maybe jump in a minute. Amanda, what did you make of Helloween?
I think I'm the same. It's all right. It's a solid premise. It had quite a good opening. I like the homage to Halloween, but yeah, it's okay. Unless you really hate clowns, it's probably.
I do as well. Yeah. As a protagonist, I'm not happy with. As an antagonist, I'm not happy with clowns as a character. They just piss me off.
Yeah, I mean, no. Again, it wasn't doing anything new.
Rich, what are your thoughts on this one?
So it's an interesting one. You picked up quite a few of the points that I was going to mention, which sort of tells me that we're all on the same page with us recognizing what the influences and stuff were on this film. Silence of the Lambs, Helloween, etc. I mean, the title alone, Helloween, is a very. But there's a lot of tips of the hats throughout the whole film. It's fully advertised as Phil Claydon's Helloween, which I don't know if that's intentional, but that's Halloween was also John Carpenter's Halloween, so I think there's another nod there. But this is actually Phil Claydon's first feature in almost 10 years. Back in 2009, he'd done films before, but back in 2009, he did the Lesbian Vampire Killers movie, which was, I guess, sort of a Gavin and Stacey kind of spin-off kind of thing, because it was James Corden and the other guy, who were both, I believe, in Gavin and Stacey.
Yep.
Yeah. I never saw it, but that was it was part of a wave of Britcom horror that was kind of all the rage at the time.
Like
Doghouse. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Strippers versus werewolves, all that sort of thing. We had his previous film to this was in America. As far as I know, the only film he's made in America called Within, which looks quite interesting.
Oh yeah.
And I was reading some reviews of that saying that had like quite a strong Silence of the Lambs kind of influence on it as well. So this is a guy who's, cine literate. He's wearing his influences on his sleeve, but he wants to sort of do his own take on it, and that's cool. I think the Helloween sort of you mentioned Dark Knight. There's definitely an element of that. I mean, the whole thing in the thing that bugged me was, why is he allowed to wear his full clown makeup in prison, in the asylum? So
exactly. Who let him dye his hair green and all this sort of shit?
Yeah. So that kind of took me out of it a little bit. I did think that I thought it was quite interesting. One of the other influences which I didn't pick up on, which other people have reviewed, said was that it's got the Purge kind of theme to it.
Yeah.
And I do kind of get that because there's a point in the film where there's things happening around the country. It becomes a big thing is happening outside in the world. Unfortunately, we don't get to see any of that, but it's indicated. And I remember, I think you might have even said that, Steve, Mike, that was one of your feelings of being let down about the Purge, is that it all happens in this house, and you don't get to see. Yeah, the first one, yeah. So you don't get. So that's kind of what the setup ends up being here, is that it's all taking place in one place, but there's this other stuff happening outside, and there's a hint of it, and you're like, oh, I really wish I could see what else was happening out there. And what else was there? So in my head, there's a version of this which is like a really cool DC fan film.
Yeah.
And so that was just a sort of bit that I quite like. Michael Paré, you mentioned. Yeah, he brings a lot of value to the film. I liked him in it. He was really good. He's not in it a great amount, but he's in it a bit more than I expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's more than a day's work,
Yeah. Well, he was previously in Shogun's Renegades, written by our friend Tom Jolliffe, and he was edited into that film almost. It wasn't very organic. Whereas if I remember correctly, anyway. But in this one, it's like he's part of it. He's engaging with Janine Narissa Softcott, who's the lead actress in the film, and playing basically the sort of Clarice Starling-ish character of the film, Alan Marks. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, it's set about 10 years ago during the sort of creepy clown trend that was happening, the antisocial behavior thing that was going on. All the yobbos and that started dressing up as clowns and scaring people, and it became like an internet thing where people were making videos to scare people and stuff. So that's kind of the jumping off point for this. It's set during that time, and it's kind of adding in these other things to it, which is a good idea. I mean, there's been I know at least one other film which was set around, use that creepy clown period as its sort of jumping off point. But I thought this did it quite well, sort of blending it with some sort of elements of the Joker and horror movies and stuff. And so I thought it was all right. I didn't love it, but I think it's another reasonably strong entry in the sort of low budget British indie horror kind of canon that we've got now.
Yeah, I like the I did like the thing about the yellow balloons and using that as a signal going around the country, sort of thing. And as you say, it would have been nice if they'd shown a bit more of what was happening there. We've come across other films that use this kind of thing. There was Trick, and that one set on the south coast about the Punch and Judy thing, or the Punch. That was it.
Punch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
another British one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was using similar things, sort of kicking off and spreading. Also, films like The Invitation as well, which is a film I really enjoyed, has that thing at the end. So, yeah, I wish we had seen a bit more of that. I also like the fact that there was this sort of mystery about how Kane was communicating with the outside, and I wish we'd had a bit more of that instead of just a throwaway line. But there you go. That's just me and my procedural kind of sort of habits. Okay, so how are we going to score it, Amanda?
I think I'd probably give it a 6.
Mm-hmm. And
it's forgettable, but it was all right.
I
had a good enough time.
I think that's about there. Yeah, it doesn't disgrace itself. Doesn't make any glaring errors or anything. Steve.
Yeah, I'll give it 6.
And Rich.
I'm going 6 as well.
4 6s then for Helloween. Go check it out. Our short shot this week is Night Shift. This follows a teenage waitress grappling with small-town life. After a late-night animal attack, a bizarre transformation compels her and her friend to confront personal anxieties and past grievances. The unsettling experience pushes their friendship to the limit. This is an interesting one for me because I interviewed the director, Carly Boone, while she was crowdfunding to make this film. Carly is she used to be part of a collective called Monstrous Femme. I don't know if you've come across them, Amanda.
Yeah, I have before.
Yeah, they've done some really good shorts, and so she gone off and done her own. So this is like nearly 30 minutes long. I think it's great personally. I like the style of it. I like the acting, the story. She takes the time for it to develop. The werewolf bit is probably the slightest bit, the bit or the weakest bit. But at the same time, I think they managed to get a couple of decent effects in. I just really, really enjoyed this sort of, this tale of, strong bonds between friends and how they deal with it, how they deal with shitty ex-boyfriends and shitty bosses and all that sort of stuff. Came across really well for me. Steve, what did you make of it?
Not as enthusiastic as you. It was okay. I just felt it was a little bit slight on quite a lot of stuff. It just, again, kind of reminded me of Ginger Snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're going to go big, and I don't think it did. Ginger Snaps, I think is great. I've not seen it for a while, but it was one of them films that I absolutely loved. And I just think it's a bit, it's a bit Ginger Snaps light in a way. But I mean, I like the play between the girls and stuff like that. I thought they were really good. I just think for a werewolf type thing, it's not a pun, but it lacked a bit of bite, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think it kind of comes out of nowhere as well.
You think? What, the werewolf bit?
Yeah, because they're just there in the thing, and next thing they're outside and bang, she's attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really have any inkling that was coming, if you know what I mean. And I had no inkling that it was coming, or
so no sort of POV shots or anything, sneaking up on the waitresses, that sort of thing. Yeah.
No, I don't. I just didn't. Yeah, to me, it just came out of nowhere.
Okay.
And it didn't. I don't think they ran with it as much as they could have. It was like, oh, bang, yeah, we'll do that, and then at the end we'll just stick it in. You know what I mean? It just didn't. To me, it didn't build up to it. There's no build to it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amanda, what are your thoughts on Night Shift?
I'm the same about the werewolf bit. Like I can feel the Ginger Snap's influence, and it did kind of, it's sort of just there. It pops in and out, but it's, you could have done with more of it. But I did love the leads. They felt like really natural, and I really liked the relationship. And I loved the way it looked too. The lighting and the colours have this sort of like ethereal look on it.
Yeah,
I really liked. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed that the werewolf part was sort of minimal. But overall, I did have a good time.
Yeah, yeah. The lighting definitely sort of works for this, and just even just sort of the credits where they've gone for this sort of like very sort of 70s font. I don't know if you've seen the series Poker Face.
Yeah.
Which uses that same sort of style, like Columbo,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So that gives you sort of the feel of the time and place. No mobile phones or anything like that going on. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of biased because, as I said, I'd done this interview with her before, so I got a feel for what she was going for. I think she did a good job with it personally, and yeah, this has been on Alter for a year already. It's weird, I interviewed her a good couple of years ago. She obviously went away and managed to make the film, and I'd totally forgotten about it until recently. And sort of saw it was actually on YouTube. So I'm quite happy to sort of promote it a bit with through this. We don't score the shots, but we do recommend you go and check them out. You'll find a link to this in the footnotes below. Go check it out. Our DTV throwback this week is Downtime. Retired commander of unit and long-time associate of the mysterious time traveler the Doctor, Brigadier Alistair Lethbridge Stewart faces the toughest battle of his military career when he is embroiled in a plot unwittingly set in motion by University Chancellor Victoria Waterfield, herself a former companion of the Doctor, to take over the Earth by an alien entity called the Great Intelligence. Okay. It's interesting, this one, Rich. I remember way back when. So towards the end of the 80s, I was working in New York Street in London. And I was working right next to what was then Forbidden Planet.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So literally next door to that. And I remember seeing on the shelves there these videos, which were yeah, I don't know if I want to call them amateur productions, but certainly sort of independent productions.
Yes.
Using people like or characters like Sergeant Benson and people like this.
Yes.
And I imagine this is one of those. I think it was made in about 1995 by the looks of it.
Yes, so this is so the one with Benson that you're referring to. I think that was Wartime, which was the first ever. That was 1988. That was made by a guy called Keith Barnfather, who's still very much involved in the Doctor Who community, mainly doing documentaries and stuff. But he's been directing and producing various productions over the years. This was the third featured drama that they made, and yeah, so it was preceded by another one that was essentially feature length. It was called Shakedown, and it had Sophie Aldred and a few other people from not only Doctor Who but Blake Seven, but all playing different characters, and they were taking on the Centaurans. This one, I think, is quite different because it's bringing back so many original characters and themes and plot lines or whatever, and putting it all together. And yeah, I used, like yourself, when I was younger, I used to see these in like the John Menzies in shops back in the day, and they always stood out as quite different. And I didn't know at the time that was my first exposure to what is quite a rare beast, which is direct-to-video British science fiction. Because basically these films were the only ones doing it at that time. It was the resources and that weren't available in the same way that they are now. We get loads of micro budget films sort of thrown out every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And and these films had to meet a certain other standard, and they had to, get distributed in, not just conventions, which I guess would be like their first port of call, but getting into major retailers like John Menzies was probably a feat in itself.
Yeah.
So they had to get noticed. And I say it took me a while to get around to seeing this one, but I did see it some time ago, and this was, it was interesting to revisit this now that it's turned up on Prime Video, which itself is quite unusual because most of these are, like you say, they're independent productions. They're circulated mostly independently, and you don't generally see them turning up on legitimately on streaming services. You can buy them on things like Vimeo, but yeah, I thought, wow, I was really shocked when this one actually turned up. So, do you have a background with Doctor Who and the plot elements of this story and the characters in this story?
Kind of, so to a certain degree. I know that there was a Peter Davison story which featured Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, and he was sort of stuck in two different time zones, basically. So like in this, he's now part of a university faculty, but also it was sort of hinting back to him from an earlier time as well. So that gave me some a bit of deja vu.
Well, this is a continuation of two stories. The first of which was The Web of Fear, which was
Patrick Troughton one.
Which was the story in which Nicholas Courtney debuted as Lethbridge Stewart. And it also follows on from The Abominable Snowmen, which was prior. That came earlier. That was in '67. Interestingly, both of those shows were part of the, how a lot of classic Doctor Who, there were loads of episodes missing. They just got recorded over and stuff. So The Web of Fear, there's one episode missing, which is all of these are on iPlayer now, by the way, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, they animated the missing episode of that. The Abominable Snowman, basically there was only one of the 6 episodes available, so that was completely animated. That got released on DVD a few years ago. I don't know if you recall, but there were quite a few direct-to-video animated, re-releases of
Power of the Daleks and
episodes.
things like that.
Yeah, which they came to a halt. If in case anybody wondered, they stopped making those because essentially the funding from America stopped.
Right.
I think was the case. So I think The Abominable Snowman was actually the last one that was made. I haven't seen either of those. So the first time I saw this, I didn't have a clue about any of the background, and the second time, I still don't have a clue about any of the background. But I'm a bit more familiar with a couple of the characters. So I'm approaching it from still very much from an outsider's perspective. Although, say, I've watched a lot of these Doctor Who spin-offs over the years. I was watching them from the perspective of an enthusiast of B movies and direct-to-video, rather than as a Doctor Who fan. I've not got the background of knowledge that I think you would need to really get the most out of this. Although I think it is quite a distinctive and quite high quality British sci-fi film with a very old school feel to it.
Yeah, I think it sort of holds its own quite well for the most part, and it has the production values of 1995 Doctor Who for the most part. Like the use of the Yeti, that was a good callback.
I love the costumes. I thought they were great.
That worked really well. We do get some stuff for Unit in there as well, which is fine. The one thing which was weird was the New Earth people. This cult. Their sort of uniforms. Yeah, the chippies. Because that's what they look like. They look like sort of plasterers, basically, with their sort of like little yellow caps. It just makes them look very unfrightening. So there's a scene quite late on where they're sort of laying siege to sort of Kate Lethbridge Stewart's barge, and they look like meerkats. Basically, the way they sort of pop up and down, looking through the portholes, and that it just does not sort of strike you as being menacing in any way whatsoever, unfortunately.
Well, the whole thing is it's set around the core. I mean, there's a lot of locations. There's a lot of location shooting in this, which is another thing about the high production values. It's filmed at the University of East Anglia, Norwich,
right?
And the as you say, the students are. The whole idea is that basically it's this educational setting, but it's a cult. So they're at university, but there's no professors or anything. They're all sitting at these computers, absorbing influence of what is called the Great Intelligence.
Great Intelligence, yeah.
And yeah, so that they wear these very distinctive green t-shirts and yellow baseball caps. I think it's kind of a big,
I think it's yellow and yellow.
Oh, yellow and yellow, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, and the so that's quite odd, and yeah, but I was still quite impressed that the budget stretched to getting all those t-shirts printed and stuff. There's a lot going on here. You've got all not only have you brought back Lethbridge Stewart, you've also got Sarah Jane Smith back.
Yep, got Elizabeth
played by Elizabeth Sladen, and she's great. She's very charming, and she stayed very much involved in Doctor Who when it came back, because she'd done her stint as the companion and stuff, and then did this, but then later she came back during the David Tennant era, and then she got her own spin-off show.
That's right, the Sarah Jane Mysteries,
which ran for 5 series, basically up until her passing, which is pretty amazing. A side note here, that there's a lot of supporting actors in this who are not playing Doctor Who characters are from Doctor Who. So you've got the guy who was the voice of K9.
That's right.
He's
the DJ. Yeah.
And I thought he was really good. I was watching him thinking, wow, this guy really suits the role. He sounds like a DJ. He's got a very good voice. So and all this is directed by Christopher Barry, who, again, I didn't know until I started looking into this. He's a veteran of Doctor Who. He directed 43 episodes between 1963 and 1979. So that's why it has that higher quality feel to it. But and it was written by a Doctor Who writer, Mark Platt, who wrote it. He did. Yeah,
I recognise that name. Yeah, when it came up.
Well, he wrote the last ever basically the last until the Russell Davis reinvigorated the franchise. He wrote the last story that went into production with Sylvester McCoy, called Ghostlight.
Yeah.
So he wrote that one before doing this. So you've got the pedigree there. They've managed to pull an official writer, an official director, get all these cast members. A lot of the productions they did involve ex-doctors and ex-characters. So just before this, as a side note, there was a film called The Zero Imperative, which brought back a character called Liz Shaw.
Yep. Yeah. One of John Pertwee's companions. Yeah.
And in the supporting roles, there were a whole bunch of the doctors, like John Pertwee and Sylvester McCoy, in that, playing different characters, not playing Doctor Who, playing different characters. And that was most notable as the writing debut of Mark Gatiss, who is now has gone on to do billions of other things, including League of Gentlemen and stuff, and now is very, very, very successful in his own right. But he got his start back with that, and so that was quite a high quality production. But I think the fact that this one actually has a Doctor Who director, and that really sort of and they filmed on location, and that it's got that Doctor Who BBC TV low budget, but still to a good standard kind of feel to it. So I find myself sort of coming back to this, watching it again, and then sort of doing a little bit of research around it this time. I feel like I respect it even more. I mean, it always kind of stood out to me, although I do prefer a couple of the others. I think it's pretty decent. I do get completely lost in the story because there's so many elements, plot elements, and that. I don't think for an outsider, it completely works. But I think if you've got a passing affection for
old school Doctor Who, sort of.
Then I think you'll get something out of it. They did do a sort of sequel to this. They brought back the Kate Lethbridge Stewart character, which was introduced in this film, She appeared in another one called Deimos Rising, which I remember being really excited about and ordering it and waiting for ages because being independent productions, I remember
pre-orders.
I remember the date got pushed back like time and time again, and then it eventually turned up, and the quality was again another sequel to an earlier story, I think from John Pertwee's era, but that was, it's several years later. The budgets have come down a bit. They haven't been able to afford to bring all the cast members back in the same way, so there's already a notable difference. And as soon as you get into like the 2010s and to now, because Doctor Who is back in force, via the BBC, the productions just can't get the backing and the budgets and that they used to. So they still make them, but they're really micro budget productions now. Like Probe is still going. And
wasn't there one a while ago about the Stones? I think we covered it. Or it might have been a short story, a short film. But it was a spin-off. I can't remember what it was. It was about these sort of sentient stones, like from Stonehenge or something.
All right, I don't remember. It's quite possible we did. We are nearing 300 episodes, and we've talked about a lot of stuff.
We've talked about a lot of stuff over the years. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I thought this was, it was decent. It kept my attention all the way through. It's great seeing Elizabeth Sladen again and Nicholas Courtney. The other one in this is Deborah Watling playing Victoria, who was the original granddaughter of William Hartnell's Doctor Who. So going back to the start.
Yeah. I knew that. I read that she'd had a connection and she was playing a companion and stuff, but. Even though I wasn't sure whether she was a character or whether she was just another actor too. So again, I didn't know that the first time I watched it, or even now. It's only really sort of doing the research after that I'm like, wow, the character that she plays, the older gentleman who later also appears in it. All the characters that I mentioned, basically, they're from those original stories, played by the same actors, which I think is pretty amazing. And I thought, I think the Yeti looked pretty cool. There's some stuff that doesn't work for me, but for the most, as an outsider, because this this is made for fans,
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's made to really stand. It really stands out. If you haven't seen any of the, if people haven't seen any of the Doctor Who spin-offs that were made or are interested in British sci-fi B movies or whatever, I think this is one of the handful that are really worth checking out. Some of the others are a bit more challenging, less rewarding. I think there's a lot of interest. Say Nicholas Courtney and that are great. I think and if anybody wanted to, say they could check out the stories that this was based on, say the Web of Fear and the Abominable Snowmen. They're on iPlayer as well.
There's a shout out to the Auton invasion in this as well.
Which was Liz Shaw.
It was Liz Shaw. It was John Pertwee's first story. Yeah.
Which also had a spin-off series. There were 3 Auton movies, which are pretty good. The first one's basically Alien with Autons, which I quite liked. But they were produced. Basically, there were 2 companies doing these. There was Real Time Pictures, which is this one, Keith Barnfather, and then there's BBV, which was Bill Baggs, and Bill Baggs is still going as well. So both very much involved. There was another guy called who was very much involved in all this Doctor Who videos and audio dramas and that, who was called Nicholas Briggs, sorry, and he's involved.
He wasn't he the Dalek voice?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He was like Mark Gatiss. He's one of those guys who got his start in these movies. He's not involved in this one, but he was very much involved in many of them, and he eventually became part of official Doctor Who.
That's right.
So he does he was doing the unofficial stuff, and then all of a sudden he was doing the licensed stuff. So his whole life is been playing these Doctor Who, and playing various characters, including voicing Daleks and stuff. So that's pretty amazing. So
Genius.
Yeah, if you tumble down the rabbit hole with this Doctor Who spin-off stuff, you might not realize just how much there is out there, and it's resulted in audio. Things like Blake 7 have been brought back. as audio dramas and stuff as a result.
What's the company that does it? Something I was going to say.
Big Finish.
Big Finish, not Happy Finish. Big Finish. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they've been very, very, very popular.
Yeah, Big Finish kind of came out as then. It all traces back to this whole movement of like fans getting together and wanting to make their own stuff, and they originally start audio dramas. You know, it's so easy to make an audio drama. People would just do them and make them on cassettes and circulate them at conventions and stuff, and then eventually they became unofficial CD productions, and then they were official ones, and now you've got Paul McGann and all the other Doctors basically. I think even Tom Baker eventually came back and actually recorded new Doctor Who stories for Big Finish. Anyway, amazing stuff.
Awesome. Well, we don't score the throwbacks, but we do recommend you go check them out. You will find this on Amazon Prime, as we said. It's a pretty decent sort of transfer.
It is, yeah. It looks good.
Still in, I won't say it's not pan and scan, is it? But it is sort of in that sort of made for old TV format, basically.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they even made it in widescreen. It's very hard to know. They might have shot it for. Say it's not a shot on video kind of looking film. It looks like it's been made with TV cameras or cameras of that spec.
Yeah.
So it's it's not widescreen, but I don't think it was intended to be. So it doesn't feel like there's anything missing, and it's not too grainy. So it's good quality.
But if you remember what it was like watching things like Peter Davison and Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy, that era of Doctor Who, this pretty much fits in with that sort of level of quality. So that's the end of this week's show. So thanks, Rich. Thanks to the other guys who've already dropped off the call tonight for a marathon of films that we've been going through. We've recorded episodes back to back this week, so this will be going out pretty much hot on the heels of the Scott Atkins episode. Don't forget to check us out.
We're approaching our 300th.
Yes,
we're
exactly.
hoping to come up with something really special for everyone.
Yeah, so watch this space. We will be doing a special episode for our 300th. Don't forget to check us out in the meantime on Facebook and X and Blue Sky at the DTV Digest. Also check out the Short Shots, where we've curated a huge amount of excellent shorts for you to go and check out. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.